Alright guys, I'm back with another chapter in 2 Samuel. We're in 2 Samuel chapter 15 where the header reads, Absalom's Rebellion. Before we get into it, you'll notice I'm back here in my office. This is the first day of summer for me, so the building a little bit more quiet. I had some meetings and had to take care of some stuff, but I survived my first year in public school administration. I had a chance to work with some fantastic people, love on some students, and I am just super thankful to not only almost be to 600 shared video recordings of my Bible readings, but also finish my first year in administration. Just started my second master's degree in what's what I'm looking for, education specialist master, so I can be central office certified to eventually one day be superintendent. So just a lot of fantastic things. As frustrating and stressed out as I've been these last couple weeks, maybe months, God's still working and moving in my life every day, even when I feel like He isn't. Because just those things that I shared with you are awesome accomplishments, and I try not to be too prideful, but am I proud of those accomplishments? I'd say so. I struggle with contentment, so I'll go ahead and share that with you guys, but I'm thankful for my family and all the way God continues to move in my life. So with that being the spirit of how we're going to start off this video, I'm going to go ahead and start reading chapter 15 of 2 Samuel. So we'll get right into it. Here we go. And it's Absalom's rebellion. After this, Absalom bought a chariot and horses, and he hired 50 bodyguards to run ahead of him. He got up early every morning and went out to the gate of the city. When people brought a case to the king for judgment, Absalom would ask where in Israel they were from, and they would tell him their tribe. Then Absalom would say, "You've really got a strong case here. It's too bad the king doesn't have anyone to hear it. I wish I were the judge. Then everyone could bring their cases to me for a judgment, and I would give them justice." When people tried to bow before him, Absalom wouldn't let them. Instead, he took them by the hand and kissed them. Absalom did this with everyone who came to the king for judgment, and so he stole the hearts of all the people of Israel. After 4 years, Absalom said to the king, "Let me go to Hebron to offer a sacrifice to the Lord and fulfill a vow I made to him. For while your servant was at Geshur in Aram, I promised to sacrifice to the Lord in Hebron, if he would bring me back to Jerusalem." "All right," the king told him, "go and fulfill your vow." So Absalom went to Hebron, but while he was there, he sent secret messengers to all the tribes of Israel to stir up a rebellion against the king. "As soon as you hear the ram's horn," his message read, "you are to say, 'Absalom has been crowned king in Hebron.'" He took 200 men from Jerusalem with him as guests, but they knew nothing of his intentions. While Absalom was offering the sacrifices, he sent for Ahithophel, I think that's how you pronounce it, Ahithophel, one of David's counselors who lived in Gilo. Soon many others also joined Absalom, and the conspiracy gained momentum. A messenger soon arrived in Jerusalem to tell David, "All Israel has joined Absalom in a conspiracy against you. Then we must flee at once, or it will be too late." David urged his men, "Hurry. If we get out of the city before Absalom arrives, both we and the city of Jerusalem will be spared from disaster." "We are with you," his advisors replied. "Do what you think is best." So the king and all his household set out at once. He left no one behind except 10 of his concubines to look after the palace. The king and all his people set out on foot, pausing at the last house, to let all the king's men move past to lead the way. There were 600 men from Gath who had come with David, along with the king's bodyguard. Then the king turned and said to Ittai, a leader of the men from Gath, "Why are you coming with us? Go on back to King Absalom, for you are a guest in Israel, a foreigner in exile. You arrived only recently, and should I force you today to wander with us, I don't even know where we will go. Go on back and take your kinsmen with you, and may the Lord show you his unfailing love and faithfulness." But Ittai said to the king, "I vow by the Lord and by your own life that I will go wherever my lord the king goes, no matter what happens, whether it means life or death." David replied, "All right, come with us." So Ittai and all his men and their families went along. Everyone cried loudly as the king and his followers passed by. They crossed the Kidron Valley and then went out toward the wilderness. Zadok and all the Levites also came along, carrying the Ark of the Covenant of God. They set down the Ark of God, and Abiathar offered sacrifices until everyone had passed out of the city. Then the king instructed Zadok to take the Ark of God back into the city. "If the Lord sees fit," David said, "he will bring me back to see the Ark and the tabernacle again. But if he is through with me, then let him do what seems best to him." The king also told Zadok, the priest, "Look, here's my plan. You and Abiathar should return quietly to the city with your son Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan. I will stop at the shallows of the Jordan River and wait there for a report from you." So Zadok and Abiathar took the Ark of God back to the city and stayed there. David walked up the road to the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went. His head was covered and his feet were bare as a sign of mourning, and the people who were with him covered their heads and wept as they climbed the hill. When someone told David that his advisor Ahithophel was now backing Absalom, David prayed, "O Lord, let Ahithophel give Absalom foolish advice." When David reached the summit of the Mount of Olives, where people worshipped God, Hushai the Archite was waiting there for him. Hushai had torn his clothing and put dirt on his head as a sign of mourning. But David told him, "If you go with me, you will only be a burden. Return to Jerusalem and tell Absalom, I will now be your advisor, O king, just as I was your father's advisor in the past. Then you can frustrate and counter Ahithophel's advice. Zadok and Abiathar, the priests, will be there. Tell them about the plans being made in the king's palace, and they will send their sons Ahimaaz and Jonathan to tell me what is going on." So David's friend Hushai returned to Jerusalem, getting there just as Absalom arrived. Goodness, that's a tough passage, especially when you consider the fact that David extended grace and mercy to Absalom, allowing for his return, knowing that he murdered someone else's son. Now, was it a just murder? I believe so. I don't like to reflect on specific things like that, because when I think of justice, it's very linear. It's very almost archaic in a sense, because when I think of justice and mercy, I know the justice and mercy that I deserve, and it's not very good, but that's not what I get. And so when I think about that, and I think about a slain rapist in the previous, I think it was Arman or Arnan, again, I struggle to remember the names because of the uniqueness of the culture and the spellings of those names, but to know that we all deserve that. We all fall short of the glory of God. We all sin. And that even in Absalom's mercy extended, still is trying to turn an entire nation against his own father after he'd been forgiven for what he had done. It's so difficult to try and lead in a way that God sees fit, because the world isn't wired to respond the way that God would have them respond. And so oftentimes in doing so, you'll live a godly life and meet only frustration, because typically, and I shouldn't say you'll only meet frustration, because God will send you just refreshing moments that will just renew your spirit and keep your bucket full and do all these things and just fill you with the fruits of the Spirit. And He's the one that keeps that going for you. But the world is designed to beat you down, because the world is fleshly. The world is, there's a lot of evil in the world, and there's a lot of selfishness in the world, and that's not God's intent. That's the absence of Him. And so when you continue to operate in the world, you're operating in an area that's absent to Him. So your job is to bring that light. And sometimes it seems like there's so much darkness that your light might not be enough. And that's kind of the point. Your light isn't. God's is. So you need to make sure that that's the light that you're bringing. I could tell you all the things that I just shared with you about what I was able to accomplish this year, that it was all me and it was all through hard work. It's simply not the case. I simply showed up, right place, right attitude, right time, willing to serve. And that's where God has me. It had nothing to do with me. In fact, I truly believe that anybody could have come and done the exact same job that I did if they're willing and submitting to God and being a servant leader. There are plenty of mistakes that I made. There are some wins that I had. There's some losses that I had. But I was here serving and loving people. In that, I was successful. And it has nothing to do with me. And would I have liked to have been more successful? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that too. And no harsh feeling towards that, because they're absolutely right. But I'm submitting to a higher power and looking for Him to make me better, give more opportunities to increase capacity to learn, love, and lead. And so, with that being said, I'm just going to continue to work hard and keep loving people and keep acknowledging my mistakes and trying to be better for those same people that I'm trying to serve and love. So on that note, have a good night. God bless. I love you. Jesus loves you. And I'll be back for chapter 16 of 2 Samuel, where the header reads, David and Ziba. And we'll get into that tomorrow, guys. Other than that, have a good night and God bless. I'll see you.